Ping, do you want to sit down first and then I'll introduce you? Yes. Okay. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women in Localization. Tonight, we're going to be doing a presentation on globalization lightning talks. I'm very excited about this. My name is Michelle Carlson, and I am the chapter manager for the Silicon Valley chapter. And I have here with me my leadership team, and so I'd like you guys to know them as well. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Chiara Fornasero. I work at WhatsApp and I recently joined Michelle's team. Thank you everyone for coming. We're very excited you're all here.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. I'm in charge of the mentoring part in Women in Localization. And I also recently took the job of global expansion. So more about that in a little bit.
Hi everyone, who's excited to be here? Yeah. Lightning Talks! All right, I'm Hannah Konobiyosuke from Uber and I run social media for the chapter.
Hello, my name is Magdalena Enea. You might know me because I'm in charge of membership for the last 2 years. So if somebody's bugging you, it's me. And I'm very excited about this organization. I really love it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
We will leave you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what are we doing tonight? Our agenda. So we have the networking. Did everyone have some of the food and got to talk to people? So I think we completed that. We can check that off our list. So we're going to do a quick chapter update. And then we're going to begin the Globalization Lightning Talks. And then we'll have a QA session, and then we're going to wrap up. We're going to try to wrap up by 8. That is our goal. We're pretty good at meeting our 8 o'clock deadline, so we're gonna do that again tonight. So first of all, I would like to bring up Pei-Ying Mo with Mozilla, and I want to thank her so much for hosting tonight. It's amazing. What a great facility. It's beautiful. Come on up.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Before I mention anything about Mozilla, just some housekeeping stuff. The food is amazing, right? If you want to help yourself more, please go through that back door instead of here so we don't have any interruptions. So you turn left, and left is the kitchen, and further to the right, that's the restroom. And if you happen to drive an electric car, it's 100% electric, and you are having a hard time getting home, let me know. I can help you recharge, only for the 100% electric car. Okay, so welcome to Mozilla. I'm so happy, and actually our team is so happy to have you here, and especially this is the 10th anniversary celebration. So how many of you have to look up who Mozilla is, other than looking for the driving direction? So, wow, you're doing all great. I'm just doing my own brand awareness marketing survey. Yeah, you're right. Mozilla is not a new kid on the block. In fact, we're celebrating the 20th year anniversary as well this year. Mozilla is actually, I'm a little bit nervous if you can tell. Sorry. Mozilla is really a global community to build an internet that make resource available, open, and accessible to everyone. So we're best known for the product called Firefox. And over the years, we actually branch out to some mobile products called Firefox Focus. You can check it out after the event. We also have Pocket, Common Voice, and in the TV space as well. So if we'll only reach limited audience if we keep the products in English. So this is where our localization communities come to help. Over the years, we have over 150 localization communities participating in localizing projects, products, and web content. There really are users, testers, and marketing troops on the ground. They are our brand ambassadors. They are what we call localizers. The Mozillian full-time staff is made up by about a dozen people, and they're distributed all over the world as well. We make the tools called Pontoon. You can check it out, Pontoon, Mozilla.org. We also manage projects. We help build communities. So together we make all our products in many languages. So without their help, we couldn't be able to reach out to the global audience we're able to. We're going to play a little clip of video, and if the language spoken in the video is your mother tongue, you can say, "Wee!" And then so we know how many. So Kong, wherever you are, could you please help roll the tape?
Canada loves Firefox.
Firefox is ek in dit fris.
你好，请使用火狐简体中文版。
Zdravo, Firefox е достъпен и на македонски.
Mabuhay, malapit na magkaroon ng Firefox na Tagalog.
Firefox fus also по денски.
Firefox está disponible en español de Argentina.
Firefox е латвийски. Sveiki, sveiki.
Firefox ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ඔබ සැමට සිංහලෙන් භාවිතා කිරීමට හැකියාව දැන් තිබෙනවා.
Добрый день. Firefox вас в разе.
अब Firefox 11 भारतीय भाषाओं में उपलब्ध है.
Hola, el Firefox també està disponible en català. Firefox 한국어 버전을 꼭 사용하세요.
Firefox gibt's auf Deutsch.
Firefox e disponibil și în limba română. Firefox in italiano.
Un saludo desde Colombia.
Firefox va Nihongo de mo使えます.
Hola, Firefox está disponible en tu idioma.
Hej allihopa, Firefox finns även på svenska.
So you can recognize all the languages. Yay! Thank you. And I just want to mention for this special occasion, we have our localization manager, Jeff, flying in from Utah to help participate this event. And overall, the core of our value is open. We want to make it available to everyone to encourage participation and involvement. The heart of Mozilla is really a global community with a common vision. And it's made of people, of educators, coders, makers, digital designers, and localizers. So no matter what the language you speak, what skills you have, if you want to help out spread the words and bring the language to your part of the world, join us to the mission. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pei-Ying. Awesome. All right, I'd also like to have Victoria to stand up. She's from Moravia, and thank you so much, Moravia and Victoria, for sponsoring the food and the drinks. Isn't the food absolutely amazing? Everyone give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, Moravia. Okay. All right, so if you haven't heard, this year is Women in Localization's 10th anniversary. We are so excited. I want to give a big shout out to our founders, and most of you probably know them, Anna, Sylvia, and Ava. They have gone from, a small little group of women 10 years ago having cocktails together and talking about this organization they wanted to form to many, many chapters around the world. So we have over 4,000 members in Women in Localization, and we have about 600 here in Silicon Valley. So we're very excited to be a part of this, and I want to congratulate Sylvia. And Sylvia, would you like to come up? All right.
Thanks so much, Michelle. And as you can tell, this picture is 10 years ago, so you wouldn't recognize me. But thank you. And I want to take this opportunity to invite everyone here to our big celebration. We're celebrating 10 years in a very, very fancy party that's going to happen in October. So please be on the lookout for our invitation. We'll probably come out in a week or so. Madalena can confirm that, she knows. So there will be open bar, sit-down dinner, dance floor, surprises, and we also have 2 powerhouse women that we're inviting for this event. They're not in the localization industry. They're entrepreneurs. They are women that have broken the glass ceiling. They have, one of them is An Yan. She's an author. She is an executive director at an investor relations firm. She has worked with Steve Jobs and also Elon Musk, among other famous people, directly. She has worked directly with them. And she's coming to speak with us. And also Lisa Stone, she's an entrepreneur, and she is the Chief Strategy Officer at a firm, a digital investment platform for women. So she cares about gender issues, women issues, breaking the glass ceiling. She's coming to talk to us as well. And when I was looking at her up in LinkedIn, I found out that she has hosted Obama in a townhouse. So I'm looking forward to meet her. So we have these two amazing women coming to talk to us. We have some surprises. And if you stick around, there will be a party at the end with dance and everything. So please come.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's October 5th. Yep.
I forgot to mention two things, actually. And Sabine and Shri, please, Sabine, where are you? And Shri, Sheena, sorry. They're looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering for this event, the event, it will be free of charge, but there is some perks that goes for the volunteers. So if you're interested in knowing what the perks are, please come and speak to them at the end. You can give your business cards, and they will follow up. And also, we are not charging for the event. We have amazing, amazing sponsors that are going to pay for all this lavish food and drinks and all the above. However, we decided to do a fundraise for Translations Without Borders. So we are asking for a small donation. The money is going directly to Translation Without Borders. They do an amazing work. So when you register, please make sure to complete your registration by making your small donation. Your registration will be only completed once you do the donation. So thank you. Sorry.
All right, Sylvia.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, and congratulations on 10 years. So exciting. Okay, at this point, I'd like to introduce Tiara, and she has been our master organizer of this event. Amazing organization. It's a lot of work. So I want to thank you for all your work you've done, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle, and thanks everyone for coming. Well, has anyone heard of Lightning Talks before or participated to a Lightning Talk? Yeah, Hannah, I can see your hand. Maybe some of you even participated to last year's event. Women in Localization also organized a Lightning Talk event last year at Box. Anybody who was at that event last year? Yeah, I see a lot of people coming back. So yeah, Lightning Talks, for people who might have not heard of Lightning Talks, they are short 6-minute presentations about a specific topic, and they are a great way to maybe, showcase some cool project that you worked on, some challenges that you've had and how you managed to overcome those challenges, something you've learned, and something that you just want to share with others so they can learn from you as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first speaker and ask her to come over. So Samantha, she's from We Localize, and she's going to talk about measuring ROI on a localization spend.
Okay. Hi. I guess I don't need to stand too closely. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Okay, so it's a wordy title. I will try to synthesize it into more of a lightning talk in the theme of this, keeping it snappy. So The reason why I wanted to talk about this was just because I'm coming from the LSP side, and I know a lot of you here maybe work on the client side, so you only have really one view on this maybe in your day-to-day. So what I wanted to share is how different people, different companies that we work with maybe split out their localization spend and how they talk about getting the return on their investment, so we can kind of look at the different examples that we have. I'll go back one. So yes. Breaking it out very quickly. So first of all, we're going to see about the localization budget itself. Like, how do you get it? What's your justification for making sure you have the right spend that you feel that you need for your localization requirements for your team? What are you going to be doing to measure the return, to actually show whoever has approved your budget that you're getting your money's worth? And then what do you do with that budget, right? There are many different cost categories that your LSP might present to you and saying, oh, this is going to cost you this is going to cost you this, but you don't really know what's worth spending your money on. So we're going to look into that a little bit more and see how many different types of ways people are distributing their spend and then how to optimize. Okay. So first of all, justifying that budget, you want to make sure that you're aligning yourself to your company's business goals. You want to show that the money that you spend in localization is going to help your company achieve their overall goals. So first of all, you want to make sure that that is something that is in consideration and that you can show that you're demonstrating ways to actually measure your progress. So KPIs is a common term that you might come up with when you're talking to your LSP. You want to say that you have a measurable way of measuring how much you're getting out of your spend. And then we can flip on to the different ways that we can measure your return on your investment, depending on who you are. Obviously, like I said, you want to tie it back to your business objectives. Those might be, in the left-hand column, increasing your sales, pretty common, increasing the number of users, consumers of your product. Maybe if it's marketing, you want to increase the amount of traffic volume to your sites. Maybe it's about brand recognition. You want to get more people to be aware of your brand in different regions, which then in turn drives the sales. Also, the whole awareness thing as well is making sure that you are keeping up with your competitors. Maybe you know that you've got a rival in a certain target market, and the return on your investment is going to be in marketing to show that you're actually getting equal, if not more, sales or users than your competitors. And then the right-hand column are different ways that you might measure that, and you would work with your LSP on how to define certain areas of quantification for you to actually show that you're meeting your targets. Here is a very orange slide, but what I'm showing here are the different types of program. So once you have obtained a budget for localization, what you might be faced with when you're working with an LSP are a smorgasbord of different options to buy. And depending on the type of program that you have, some of these may or may not be relevant to you. Or you may think, okay, I'm not going to spend in that right now. I may decide to spend some of that later on. So the categories of program are loosely defined for this, the purposes of this. I know that there are not strict categories, but I've looked at the continuous localization program, first of all, which would be a daily agile project cycle. And then the three others are more waterfall-based, but depending on volume. So a quarterly release, big batch at a regular cadence. Project-based would be that you have regular project work, but maybe from a variety of different requesters, maybe in lots of different formats. And then ad hoc is very sporadic. You don't know what you're going to get or when. So what you would do is maybe see what's worth spending your money on certain things. Obviously, continuous localization, there are a lot of different cost buckets, particularly upstream. So investment in your language management, your language leads, because if you have a continuous loc program, then you have more work on a regular basis to justify that cost. What you might notice also later is that trying to pull away from some of this rework, quality, secondary review steps, the theory being that if you invest upstream in some of the language management, query, responsiveness, feedback loops early on, then you can actually make some savings. So different types of program here. My message is that you don't need to spend your money on everything. And your LSP should be able to help you decide what's best. So here is just some examples of when you want to optimize that budget. So you've decided to spend certain money in certain areas, but what I want to show here is that some things may seem like an investment up front and quite a bit of money, but they can save you money in the long term. So certainly things like the TMS integration. A lot of companies think they have to have that and have a costly connector straight away. It really depends on the type of program. But what you would save later on are things like PM fees, because you're minimizing a lot of that manual effort potentially, and also minimum charges because you've got a continuous stream of work. So that's one example. There are other ways that you can spend a little more, for example, transcreation, to actually offset a lot of complaints in the target market about it not resonating. So that is actually a common one where we're substituting that, because that transcreation price tag can seem quite high. So just some takeaways then, really. So for me, what I've learned is that better to invest in your quality upstream. You don't want to exponentially be fixing into 30, 40 languages when you can do that from one. It's good source handoff. Trusting your LSP, trusting your linguists, the professionals that we have in this industry who do an amazing job, give them time. So figuring out how to actually make sure your budget is stretching to giving them the most amount of time. Because then you fix a lot of the other issues with other areas that you're spending on. Accepting that there'll be mistakes, giving yourself a contingency plan. If you do want to spend money in a certain area, it may be that you bite off a little bit first, pilot it. If it's worth the money and it's giving you the return you want, then you bring it back. Or you can invest more. And then also tying it back to the original slide is stay true to your business goals. Reassess every period and see if you're actually spending money to meet the business goals. Okay, and that is the last slide. Thank you. And the next speaker, oh, sorry. And let me go back one. The next speaker is going to be Yuriko Yamasaki from Oath, formerly known as Yahoo, and she'll talk about the localization platform at Oath. Thank you.
All right. Let me. Okay. Hi, my name is Yuriko. I'm a product owner of the localization platform at Oath. You might never heard of the company called Oath. It's not very popular name at this point, I don't think. But so about a little over a year ago, Oath, Yahoo became a part of the Verizon company. Combined with the AOL asset into the subsidiary, covering over 50 media brands. So now I hope you can recognize Oath, and you can recognize also the brands. Yahoo is still there as a brand. Okay. And today I'd like to talk about the localization platform at Oath. No, sorry. Okay, but anyway. Slide note was supposed to be appearing, but I don't think the slide note is here. Okay. All right. So about a year before I joined the company, Yahoo, at the time, Michelle Carlson, the chapter manager of the Women in Localization, has introduced a homegrown localization tool called Yala. And Yala was a huge hit within the company, gaining rapidly large number of users, very successful tool. And on August 6, 2007, I joined the team to help technically the team and the users. And since then, for the last 11 years, I have been working on the localization tool and the platform at Oath. Okay, so here is I wanted to show you how our localization tool, localization platform has developed over the years. So in 2006, as I just mentioned, Michelle introduced a great tool called Yara. And this was very revolutionary for a lot of localization PMs because translation kit was created automatically, and LPM goes to Yara web interface to download the translation kit and send to the vendor. And they didn't have to go to the product team asking for the resource files or anything like that. That was done automatically. And that's to support the localization PM through the web interface. But we also, Yara also had a developer tool. It's a command line tool. And using that tool, developers can generate the localized files on their own development environment. And that tool was pulling the translation from our centralized TM and created a localized file for them. And that script was typically integrated into their build system. So in that way, the localization was largely automated for the product team. And that enabled the product team to be able to release 35 or more languages simultaneously. So at that time, this was a cool, revolutionary tool. Thank you, Michelle. And after that, we developed Yara 2, which is more technically sound, architected better, up-to-date architecture tool called the Yara 2. And their system is still had a similar concept, web development, web interface for the localization PMs, and CLI tools for the developers. But we added a lot of tools to make the life easier for the localization PMs, such as automatic translation leveraging systems or edit translation, configure the translation, configure the product market configurations. But at that time, we are calling it as a toggles. And in Yara 3, still had a good architecture, but we made a more improvement. And there, we added more CLI features. But at the same time, we also introduced Jenkins system to build a localized file per product team. So developers had the option of generating their own localized files or rely on our system to download localized files from our system. So in a way, we are trying to automate more and more localization processes. And 2015, we released the Dragonfly. This simplified the localization process big time. And I want to talk to you about this localization process, how it is, and how the workflow is like in the Dragonfly's localization system platform. So our aim is to make Dragonfly as a self-serving localization platform. And in the past, in the Yara days, localization PM came to Yara to download the localization kit and hand it off to the vendors. But that busy work or localization work was shifted to the product team. So product team, typically like developers or product owners, come to our system to initiate the localization process. They give us a source location, or they just upload a file from our interface. Then select the languages and select the product and type of the translation so that our translator knows what type of contents that they are translating into. And we also request, the UI also requests additional information to provide more contextual information, such as screenshots or a link to the video, or any information that gives us more contextual information. Then after that information is entered, the user will click the estimate, and we provide the estimate of how many words are there, and then what the turnaround time is going to be like. And when that is satisfactory to the user, they will click submit. Then that kit, in the meantime, the translation kit is generated and then put in our cloud space that we share with the vendor. And vendor automatically using our vendor web service comes to our cloud space to download the translation kit. So there is no downloading the kit, handed off to the vendor, but that part is automated. And vendor does the translation using their tool, and when it's ready, it's imported back to delivered to us through the vendor web service. And that translation memory is filled with the vendor translations. During the process, we also do error checkings, file validation, and then solid, good quality translation is entered in our TM. And we have an in-house linguist and who also keep an eye on the qualities. And they will review the translations. When they're all satisfactory, they check, and then that translation task is completed. When it's been completed, we push to their Git repository if Git path or source path was entered. And if the file was uploaded, we make the downloadable link available for the user. So he or she is free to download the localized contents on their own time. So that's pretty automated process. So by doing this, we shifted localization initiative work from localization PM to the product teams. So the product teams own the localization, and since they own the localization, they know how important the internationalization work is. So that's a win-win situation. So they have a better IT and practices, and they are more interested in how they can write a better code for localization. And we are aiming Dragonfly to be continuous localization tool, zero touch. But we also know just translating the contents and delivering the translated content is not all about the localization. So I want to share some of our future plans. So we want to automate the process as much as possible. And we haven't started working on the onboarding process at all. We always have a heavily human-involved onboarding process. But if we can detect the user who never been used the Dragonfly tool, we want to provide the onboarding process, like learning video links or quick animation about how to use the tool, or checklist of what you need to have before you are ready to translate, those kind of things. So we want to automate that part as much as possible. And of course, we are also human, or linguists are ready to help them out as well. And another area that we are planning on doing was the marketing piece. So at the beginning, we were just categorizing marketing translation to be just as a part of different content, but it is not. Sometimes you have the chance to create. It is not the direct mapping of English and whatever the target language is. Some sections don't need the translations, actually it should be left as empty. So our automation of generating localization kits and ask vendor to provide the mapping of translation does not always work. So, and also the type of information that we require is not just screenshots. We need a lot more, like, what are they? Sorry. Campaign, so those marketing jobs require more consolidation of the current workflow, and campaign goals and target audience, voice and tones, etc. So those are very important pieces to provide the quality marketing translations. So that part we are going to revamp for the next version of Dragonfly. And we are also considering including MT, machine translations. So when people come to Dragonfly to request for translations, we want to provide the machine translation right away. so that they have a time to do ITNN or LTNN testing right away. But in the meantime, we also process the request, send the kids to the translator, and we will receive the quality translation at the end of the task completion date. So they have both quick translation and quality translation at the end. And another area that we're looking into is in context. In context has been very exciting feature. We always wanted to have. Actually, we have work in progress product can be used internally. So using our simulator, like an iPhone simulator or Android phone simulator, we will load the translations for the specific request, and the user comes, not user, but linguist comes to see the newly translated contents on the simulator, so they know exactly what they are translating, and they know exactly how to review it. So those are some of the main areas that we are looking into in the near future. And so that's where we are heading to, and we are trying to make our localization process more seamless with good quality. So next speaker is Muriel from Wikipedia. She's going to talk about the right and left. Exciting stuff.
All right. I hope I can forward. Great. Forward is to the right or to the left. It sounds obvious, but I'm going to show you it's not that obvious. So I'm Muriel. Hello. I work at the Wikimedia Foundation. We operate Wikipedia. We have 420 languages that we support. It's a lot. 16 of them, I hope I'm not going to get yelled at for forgetting some, but about 16 of them are right-to-left languages. And we encounter a lot of weird stuff when we do that. And I'm going to show you a little bit how right-to-left fails us in real life and in computers. So there we go. BD, what? Is going to be the nature of this talk. So just very, very briefly, because of course everybody knows the bidirectional algorithm. BiDi is the algorithm that really makes it easier for you to have multiple directions in the same page. So if you have a page that has only one language in it or one direction in it, everything's fine. So if you have a page that's all Arabic, pretty good. If you have a page that's all English, great. When you start mixing those languages up, you run into problems, and you need an algorithm to tell you kind of what to do. But just a reminder, numbers in most right-to-left languages are left to right, which already makes it pretty much always mixed. And people tend to chat in multiple languages online, so you get a lot of, combinations of stuff online. I highly recommend you read the spec. Everybody laughs when I say that, but it's actually a really interesting one in the Unicode website. And if you want to see some visual examples, you can go to my website, rtl.wtf, and live it for yourself. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. We're going to start with real-life examples. All right, so just as a comment, ranges in Hebrew specifically, but in many of the right-to-left languages, are written right to left. Okay, if I write 1998 to 2006, it's supposed to be right to left. No one knows that, because when you write when you write 1998-2006 in your computer, it will turn it into left to right because it'll think that it's a mathematical operation. Nobody really knows about the M dash that breaks it. So yeah, nobody knows. That creates a lot of really interesting issues. So this is a toy store. This is the same shelf. This toy was printed abroad, so it's 6 to 36 months. And the other one is printed in Israel, so it's 36 to 6 months. Now, assuming children don't grow backwards, we all understand that this is, a range of ages, and we're fine with it. But there are cases where things get a little bit more complicated. So here is a gas station, has food that they're selling. Between the hours, these. Okay, day, night? Well, I guess I do know because the background helps me. Like the dark one is night and the light one is day. Great. If you notice, it's left to right. So it's not really correct to write it this way. Supposed to be right to left, but no, it's not. I actually went and asked for the sandwich in the middle of the night. They actually gave it to me because apparently those two prices are exactly the same, except one is with the sandwich and not without, which is totally cheating, but I made my point. This seems like, you know, okay, well, what's the harm? Well, here's the harm. What would you do in this situation? You have a parking, and it says that it's forbidden between these hours. Will you park? Is it nighttime parking? Or is it daytime parking? I don't know. Do you? Nobody knows. In fact, it's so unclear that someone parked in such parking, got a fine, sued, and won. Yes, because it is very unclear. It's really not clear what's going on there. And because they won, now all municipalities in Israel transform their parking signs to literal from to, like with the words from and to, because otherwise nobody knows what it means. Which I guess is not really a what. It's more like a, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, yeah, that would do it. So this is my favorite cup. I have it at the office. I actually have two of those, one at the office and one at home, because it's great. It's the word tradition written in multiple languages. It's amazing. I'm sure like, all of you appreciate it. Here's the Hebrew one. It's backwards. Here's this, you know, Farsi backwards, Arabic backwards. But, you know, it's a lovely cup. Let's go into some computer what. Those are fun. So, if you ever edited anything online, you know this, you know, toolbar that you get with, like, you know, editing tools with bold and, you know, insert something, whatever. This is what it looks like. This is what ours look like. So this is from Wikipedia. We have a visual editor, but it's pretty standard. I mean, you know, if you did Gmail or, you know, WordPress, whatever, you have like the same type of thing. So if you use it in right to left, it flips around. And you can see that, okay, the published thing is like, you know, exactly the opposite direction. You know, these icons flip, these icons flip, la, 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 la. Wait, what? Okay, hang on a second. Let's take a look at this one. Wait. Did I mess this up, or is this the way it's supposed to be? Well, let's think about it. We all know that these are undo and redo, right? Well, what do I do when I do undo? Say that sentence fast twice or more. I go backwards. Where's backwards in left to right in English? I'm going backwards in left to right towards the left. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting it. It's undo and redo. Towards the left is undo and towards the right is redo. Great. Now, right to left. When I want to undo, I go backwards. Where's backwards? To the right. That's right. Not only are those buttons flipped, they're twice flipped, which is great. I know. Is this even on anymore? All right. So this is me trying to break Hangouts. Semi-successful in all the weirdest ways. So I'm sending a message. I'm on the web. My friend Ron is on mobile. And I know that Hangouts, similarly to Facebook and to many other places, have kind of like this predictive algorithm that's trying to auto-align for you. So if you write in, you know, Hebrew, it will align it right for you. It'll be very helpful. If you write in English, it will align it left, except it's completely unpredictable between like web and mobile. It's aligning left on web, but not on mobile. It's aligning right on mobile, except this one is aligning right on mobile and on web. I don't know which one it will be. So if you're trying to figure out like what is the best way to write a sentence so that it will be understandable, because every time it will realign it for you, it's also jumbling it. So yeah, good luck with that. If you think Google is the only one that's at fault here, no, this is Facebook. This is me inviting my friend Ron to a Facebook group called Maximum 2 Terms. And he looks at it in his mobile device, and it's terms to maximum, which is a different requirement, really. I mean, yeah. It deserved a cat, this one. All right, this is an email I got for a flight, which apparently is super punctual. Like, if I'm not there in like 28 seconds, they're closing that door. That's it. I can't fly anywhere. If you're doing anything remotely related to web or especially emails, please put in an explicit directionality in the HTML, because these are weird. And lastly, emoticons. So emoticons in right to left are basically just tilting your head, left or right, like the other way. I was going to show you the accept part, but I'm going to take a quick caveat to say, I tested this on my phone. I wanted to practice. I tested it on my phone and realized that Slide app on Android isn't even showing right to left. What? Yes, great, consistency. So what about these emoticons? These don't really work in right to left. So I send my mom, my mom asks me, hey, how was your day? And I'm like, green face. And she calls me, why, you're sobbing? What, is everything okay? What's going on? Who hurt you? I know. So out of all of this, we can realize that right to left users expect nothing, really. We expect inconsistencies. We look at things and we're like, yeah, no, I have no idea what's going to happen. So please, all of you here, be the change. Yes. I was supposed to have notes here. I don't. I think it's Michelle and Esther from SurveyMonkey are next.
Thank you so much. That was so great. Okay.
Okay. All righty. Hi, everyone. I'm Esther, and I'm a localization project manager at SurveyMonkey.
And I'm Michelle, and I lead localization at SurveyMonkey.
And today we're going to talk to you about hacking to solve internationalization issues. You want to hold that just in case? Yeah. So I'm sure everyone here in the audience knows that the best localization can only be achieved on top of great internationalization. So a few months ago, our company decided to organize a hackathon. As you know, during a hackathon, all those who participate have a limited period of time to build some sort of idea that they've had. Us in the localization team had never actually hacked before, but we thought it was a great opportunity to team up with our QA and engineering team to promote the idea of fixing internationalization issues up front. So basically, we had a couple of days to build something, and there were around 40 participating teams. We decided to call our team Team Squash, and that's because what we wanted to do was squash internationalization issues in the code before the code even makes it to the localization queue. So why did we think this was important? We thought this was important in order to save time. We want to make sure that these internationalization issues don't slow us down and that we release as fast as we can. This was also going to save resources so that there's less people having to report these issues and fix these issues. And of course, it was going to save us money. We know that fixing all these internationalization issues can be costly, and sometimes it also results in having to send more strings for retranslation. So, as a project manager, these are some of the most common internationalization issues that I find. This is the page that you would see after you take a SurveyMonkey survey in German. However, if you take a look at this, this is not out there right now. It is out there, but it's looking way nicer than this. But if you take a look at the page, you'll see that it's translated in German. However, the title's still in English. And this is because that particular string was hard-coded. This means that it wasn't actually made translatable, so we never saw it in our translation queue. On top of that, we see that in this button on the top, there's a date format, and there's also a little currency sign there that was also hard-coded. We know we want to use libraries for those, so we want to make sure we avoid that. There's also some string expansion. The text doesn't fit very nicely inside the box. And that actually was a concatenated string too, meaning instead of having one full sentence, it came to us as two different segments. And that can be a problem because, as you know, the word order changes in some of the languages, so once we have the finalized product, that's just not going to make a lot of sense. And then finally, at the very bottom, we see three buttons. We see that the one on the top hasn't been capitalized, but the Facebook and the Google one, have been capitalized. That's because capitalization was actually forced in the code.
this is something we want to avoid as well, because we want to be the ones that make the decision. We want to choose, do we want to capitalize this in each one of the languages or not? Because, you know, languages are different. We don't want to come across like we're shouting at the user or something like that. So our goal during the hackathon was to build an internal code checker that would catch all these issues upfront before we see the strings for translation. And I'm going to pass it on to Michelle, who's going to explain how we actually did it.
Okay. So stay up here with me. So thank you, Esther. As Esther mentioned, we teamed up with our QA automation, a few of our QA automation engineers. We got the very best ones, as well as an engineer. And our goal was actually to create an automated script that would run in the code, and it would catch the internationalization issues up front in the code so they could be fixed by the engineers in the code before it came to our translation queue. Because quite frankly, we were just very tired of seeing those internationalization bugs in our translation queue. So we were very lucky. We actually had some great QA engineers and engineer who teamed up with us. They created these automated tests, which we ran then on top of the source codes. And this was done during continuous integration. And it worked. That was for kind of the 4 top things. And we also needed to catch a string expansion, which seems to be a little bit more difficult. So actually, our QA engineer found a tool called Puppeteer, which is a Google open source tool, and it runs on top of Chrome. And this tool actually generates screenshots and PDFs of the pages to flag issues. And this tool worked really well, so I recommend checking it out. So as you can see, this is one of the spring expansion bug that we found. This was actually found in the code, but I'm not allowed to show you code. So this is just the picture, the web page where we found it. And so we were really excited to join the hackathon. As Esther said, we'd never done hacks before. We always thought that was for the engineers. But we said, hey, let's do it. We were able to catch these IATN issues early in the product development cycle. And this is great because we're doing continuous integration and we just don't have time to waste on internationalization bugs. So this was a great collaboration between our QA engineering team and our engineers and the localization team. We made such good friends during these 2.5 days. We had a lot of fun, so we encourage all of you guys to get involved in internal hackathons. It might not seem like localization should be in this, but we fit in so well, and I think our executives were really happy to see us up there with our engineering team and our QA team doing this hack. So, in summary, hackathon plus localization plus team collaboration means success. Thank you very much. Oh, next up is Facebook.
Can everyone hear me? Cool. So hi everyone, my name is Shweta Sathe. I work in the internationalization team at Facebook. Thank you, Women in Localization, for giving me an opportunity to speak this evening. I wanted to share some of my experiences setting up our first localization project management internship this summer. Some of what we learned, some skills that we tested, and some key takeaways. By a show of hands, how many people have attended grad school to get a degree in translation studies? Cool. Cool. Remember learning core subjects like theory of translation, various translation specialties, terminology management, and project management? I think these were excellent skills to have if you were planning to become a freelance translator or a project manager on the client side or the vendor side. But as the localization industry is evolving, I think these skills aren't enough. How many teams here have offered summer internships in the past? Cool. The I-89 team at Facebook decided to offer summer internships this year because they bring in fresh ideas. Interns bring in fresh ideas, different perspectives. This picture shows our attendance at the Miss Career Fair earlier this year. It was amazing to see the amount of energy, the enthusiasm, and all the well-rounded skills that these students had. It also gave us a chance to find out what's being taught in the schools and then also be in a position to influence the graduate degree curriculums to a certain extent. We wanted to model our internship program similar to some of the engineering internship programs where interns get a main project they focus on and where they can bring their fresh ideas and perspectives without just executing on day-to-day operational tasks. We wanted these projects to have a specific outcome based on some research and findings. We wanted to empower our interns to look at our operations, make them scalable, efficient, and to reduce choke points in our workflows. And to achieve this, they had to query data, research a specific problem area, implement solutions, and then share their findings. Data seems like the buzzword these days. So it's no surprise then that the localization industry is also becoming more and more data-driven. And LSPs and clients are both using data insights derived from data to run their operations. Data helps you tell a powerful story. It enables you to drill down to the root causes and make adjustments to workflows. However, I think there is a skills gap that exists in our industry today that needs to be addressed. One of the essential skills we wanted the incoming interns to have was their familiarity with writing SQL queries. We wanted our interns to query data tables, visualize this data in dashboards, spot anomalies and trends, and then create plans for improvement. Before the start of our internship, we sent them online tutorials and lessons that they could learn and hit the ground running once they started their internship. Within 12 weeks, our interns had put their SQL knowledge to good use, and I think they produced amazing work. And it kind of solidified our assumption that data skills are essential in project management, and I think that's going to be needed more and more as as the localization industry evolves. This is just a peek into some of our intern projects. The first one being string descriptions and their effect on quality. All of us know that string descriptions, good string descriptions are, carry a lot of weight and they are good context for linguists. But what we've seen is, as the company grows, engineers are creating strings that don't always have the right amount of information. One of the interns looked at strings data, and they prioritized strings that were translated without descriptions for review. The other thing that they did was they worked with the product teams to include string descriptions for the top viewed strings, and then got them translated. This led to an overall increase in translation quality of the strings that we were putting on our site. The second project was an audit of the automated tasks. We have an automated tasks pipeline, and the goal of the project was to do an in-depth analysis of the entire system. Create query templates, again using SQL, for people who don't know how to query data, but want to create automated tasks for themselves, for their projects. And then this intern also helped us look at long-term solutions for our ever-increasing business needs. And the third project was to dig deep into our pending tasks. This intern looked at the task completion data and found certain languages to be late more than others. And this kind of led to us hiring more for those languages. And then that also led to a more granular focus on task completion metrics. Our first internship program, I think, was a huge success. Kudos to our amazing university recruiting team, program directors, and managers And everyone who was involved in the interviewing, the onboarding, and finding the right balance of data-centric projects and to its seamless execution. I think it was an intense 12 weeks this summer, but I think it was a lot of fun also. Our interns gained valuable skills querying data. I think they'll be able to use that in the future, as well as be able to talk about these skills when they're back in school next year. We had so much fun with this internship program that we plan to continue this next year. And I think in closing, I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the fun we've had. The ride has been intense, but this is a picture of us, of the friendships that we've developed with our interns and the intern managers at a team building event. So thank you. Next up is our friends from Uber.
Hi everyone, this is Xuanzi and I'm Greta. So we are the backend engineer on internationalization team at Uber. We work closely with our localization team on a daily basis. Uber is operating in many countries around the world. So as a result, we have to support dozens of languages, hundreds of services within Uber, and also thousands of translations every month. That's a lot of content. And at the same time, we have very limited people on localization team. So it's our job to support them to handle this and also build the tools, make the localization cheaper, faster, and just better in general. This is how our platform is set up. So when there are internal translation requests, the engineers will submit the source string to our Rosetta platform. And then Rosetta gonna collect them and batch them into projects and send them to the professional translators. When the translation is ready, Rosetta gonna deliver the translation back to our internal teams. This platform works pretty good for the most of the case, but sometimes it's not fast enough. So we did some improvement, and Xuanzi and I are gonna introduce those one by one.
As you can see this page, this is actually the marketing page on Uber.com. Marketing is actually one of the largest repositories sitting within Rosetta. In the past, after Rosetta gets the translated contents, it still takes like over 20 hours to send the contents to the marketing team. That was really long because of like how many hoops it has to go through before the contents get delivered. So our localization manager was really sad. So we built a new tool that's the translation distributor. We are using Kafka, MLDB, and Artifactory to enable this to do real-time translation delivery. So for now, the marketing contents, we deliver that within 5 seconds. Yeah, as you can see, this picture is actually a celebration hosted by the marketing team to celebrate the tool with us.
Awesome. Let's see another story. Saying like you are a mobile engineer and you've been working so hard for the last 3 weeks to build this new Uber Eats app. And finally, it's published on the apps store. And oops, there's a typo for the translations. What are you gonna do? If you want to crack it within the next app release, it will take at least 1 to 2 weeks. So now you are upset and you are panicking. So we built a dynamic API for mobile, which can deliver and push the latest translation to the CDN server within seconds. Then when the end user reopen their apps, the latest content is going to reflect on their end right after. So no more panicking and just smile.
How awesome is that? So the next story I like to talk about is this. Tina is new to Uber Eats, and her first task is to help launching some new feature globally. She has to translate all the city names into all supported locales. So she came to Rosetta, setting up the project, and expecting to see the contents ready in a week. But the moment she finished setting up the project. She saw all the contents are ready for her to use. How could this be? Thanks to our translation memory. This translation memory not only stores the translated contents, but it also scores and ranks the similarity, which takes the metadata like product length and content types into consideration. So this gives the translation memory the confidence to, use the highest ranking to provide the value there.
High five. Now let's see another scenario saying UberX is already running, and now you are hired to build a Uber pool business. So there must be a lot of translations that you can use directly. How are you going to do that? We here support the subscription. How it works is you can set some rules saying using the regex to subscribe either the existing translation or the future translation. Now, whenever there's any translations updated or come back from the translator to UberX, you're gonna get it automatically and immediately. That's how awesome is it. So you can take a deep breath and then enjoy the vacation on the beach. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the speakers. I think they all deserve a big round of applause. These presentations were great. Great job, everyone. Okay, so now I would like to invite the speakers to come back here, and we're going to do a little Q&A session. So I think maybe somebody can help us with this. Thank you, Pei Ying. So for the audience, make sure that if you want to ask a question, you use this orange amazing Mozilla mic, and you speak very close to the top part on the black side.
It's being recorded, so they want to hear you over there.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the people who are following us on live stream can also hear the questions. And here we have an extra mic. Anyone has a question?
Thanks, everyone. Those were great speeches. Question for the SurveyMonkey guys. The gals, sorry. The things that you put into place, are they actually being used now? Are they incorporated into your workflow?
Our QA team is currently working on automation, but it is not, that was a hack, done in 2 days, and it will happen.
Cool.
We are motivated.
Any other question? I think I see one over here.
So my question is for Wikimedia. So you're trying to build something that understands that things are going left and right at the same time?
No, I don't think it's possible. So what happens is that we have the bidirectional algorithm, and for the most part, it's pretty good. I showed failures, but for the most part, it works well. I don't want anyone to, send me angry emails in Hebrew. What we do, though, so one of the challenges that we do have is that Wikipedia has 420 languages that are interface languages and about 380-something languages that are content language. You can mix and match anything of those. So you can go to the Spanish Wikipedia and read Spanish Wikipedia with, let's say, English interface, right? All your menus are in, but you can do that the same thing with Hebrew Wikipedia with an English interface. So all of that, we need to figure out what is the content and what is the interface, and users can just do it themselves. They can switch around, right? And we can't predict what they'll switch. We have extensions that users may add, or our third-party users may add. So we create a system that allows them to do that. We have tools that makes it easier to do that. We have something called CSS Janus that takes your CSS rules and make them RTL specific, all that kind of stuff. So we give you tools to do that. Automatically recognizing right to left and left to right is really, really hard. Really hard. My advice to anyone who's trying to do that, how to align, is whatever you do, you're not going to do it right. I mean, someone will complain, right? So just pick something and be consistent. I think the arguments online is not that, you know, this thing sucks and this thing sucks. It's that it's not consistent. You never know what you're going to get.
So, but what do you do when you have numbers like and Hebrew together?
So it depends where. First of all, we do have, when you edit Wikipedia, so if you have years, for example, like you have Albert Einstein, born, we have a way for you to mark that area as a language, and then we do the markup at the kind of like HTML level, where when it's needed, we isolate. So sometimes you want to byte isolate, so you want like this little thing you want to make sure that this is not affected by the total directionality, so you isolate it. We do that a lot, so numbers are less of a problem usually, because they usually are okay deciding on internally on themselves. We do have cases where, if you, for example, you have Albert Einstein, in Hebrew Wikipedia, you'll have Albert Einstein in Hebrew, and then Albert Einstein in German. So now you have like mixed directionalities. In this case, you will select, you know, this German part, make sure that the system knows this is German, and then we will add the markup to make sure that now it's isolated and it's, you know, it's being handled right. Thank you.
Hi, I have a more general question. I'm heading right now a localizations team, and I'm really doing everything. It's marketing and working with engineering on our homegrown translation tool, and I'm having print screens of whatever is hard-coded, and I'm trying to translate this as well. So for me, what is important is, I think, what is the tool that helps you the most in localization?
So you need a really good localization automation tool. It could be external. It could be in the cloud. It should be in the cloud. So your vendors can go there and do the translations. They don't have to bother you at all about where or when where the translation is. And you can make sure you can do an internal tool. You can do external, whatever works for you and your team. But even if you do external, you're going to need to work that external vendor to get the features that you need and which matter to you. So, you know, just off the shelf isn't going to work. So automation is where it's at. You got to make that happen. That's my. Does anybody else want to comment? Want to comment? You guys are tools people. You want to comment? Okay.
So we actually have in Wikimedia Foundation libraries that might be able to help with that. We use Translate Wiki, which is open source and free, that allows for that kind of pipeline. So we allow our users to come in and edit the translations and provide translations. We also, you got to have automation, so we don't have like some sort of automatic thing that pulls the translation from that system into ours. But that's the only automatic thing you need to do. Like there's an interface and everything works out. So it's free to use. It is external. It's free to use. It's open source. It does require being open source. So, but you can fork it and use it yourselves. It's absolutely open source. So.
This question is for Shweta, and I would like to know what background did your wonderful interns have? Because I was really something between, are they from MIS or rather from Stanford or?
So our interns were from MIS, the three of them that we had chosen. Yay! But two of them actually had computer science backgrounds, so I think that kind of helped. But they were doing their masters in translation studies, so they were at MIS. Two of them were in the Japanese program, one was in the Chinese program. But I think before they came in, we wanted them to have a good understanding of SQL, which I think they completely crushed it during the internship. So we were really happy with the results.
Thank you. I have a question for two teams, and they kind of are related to each other in SurveyMonkey and Uber. I would like to hear from SurveyMonkey, how do you encourage engineers to work with you on like less sexy topics like localization? Yeah. Right. And I want to understand, like, are you dedicated to localization all the time in your engineering work, or what is your part in the organization?
Okay, so first question was, how do we encourage engineers to work on localization, right, or internationalization? So one of the things that I've done is I've set up with the engineering team and the training team such that anytime a new engineer or product manager or marketing manager joins the team, we do a training. And I made friends with one of the engineers who is interested in internationalization, and we teamed up to do a training together. So we do a globalization training. It's kind of like Globalization 101, but then we get into how we work with our tools, how should they interface with the tools, this kind of thing. So that's like a quick introduction for the brand new engineers on board. And then we have a lot of Slack channels, and we're communicating. Esther manages our daily translations, so we're communicating every single day with our engineers. And we get to be friends, and we sit right in the engineering department, right next to QA engineers and also regular engineers. And so we just get to know them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah. For us, we are engineers on internationalization team, so we're dedicated for localization problems.
Thank you.
That's so wonderful. There's one back there.
There's a question over there. Thank you, Paying, for running around with the mic.
Hi, my name is Sushma, and this is for Shweta from Facebook. What is the translation management platform used? Because accessing database for localization project manager itself is a big no-no in most of the organization. So is it homegrown, and what are the tools you get the data from and run queries on?
Yeah. So the localization platform is homegrown, and I can't say much about it. But the data tables are, regular MySQL kind of data tables. So we have an internal tool where we can write queries and look at the results in real time. So you can port those queries over to dashboards and then look at your results. So these are internal tools, but they're accessible to most employees. Which is why I think the interns also had a chance to get their hands dirty on these projects.
Okay, lucky them. Thank you.
Yep. I think if there are no other questions, we can probably wrap it up. I think we're almost there. Oh, there's one.
Okay.
One over there. Sorry, I didn't see.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all here. After the last question is taken, we do want to thank the panel speakers, and also to everyone. We have a surprise for all the attendees. How's that? All right.
Hi, I'm Glory. I'm a localization manager for Super Evil Megacorp. We develop a mobile game. I have a question for Samantha. I am challenged on proving the true ROI. So we do have great revenue compared to the localization cost per language, but how can I prove that this truly comes from being able to support the game in that language? A good example is hero voiceover. So in our game we have heroes and we do voiceover. And I want to prove that because we are doing hero voiceover, we are actually getting more sales from those regions instead of the hero itself being very actually fun to play compared to other heroes. So that's a big challenge. And do you have any tips for me?
This is something that a lot of customers, they say it's very hard to actually pinpoint what they can attribute the increase in sales or the uptick in revenue to an actual specific change or extra cost that they've invested in. One thing that I have done with other companies is that you do like a pilot and you compare side by side. So whether or not it might be, you put your game with the localized voiceover out to a certain number of people and see how many might be interested in signing up for it or would be interested in buying the full game if you give them a small portion of it to try versus those who only see it with the non-localized version. So do a side-by-side comparison on a subset of users. Generally can give you at least one data point, which may then be able to be exponentially put out there to show what an increase would be tenfold, or depending on which number of markets that you're doing. So I would narrow the focus. So if you want to prove that it's more interesting, or it's going to be more, people are going to spend more on a certain point, then do possibly a trial or a pilot. But yeah, I would say it's difficult to be able to pinpoint it to one particular factor, but you can try.
Okay, great. Oh, one more? Oh, okay. Yeah. Last question.
Hi, this is Farashweta at Facebook. Are you allowed to say the languages that were that had the backlogs for translations? Were they all over, or were they all concentrated in a specific region?
I think they were all over, so I don't want to give out too many details about the specifics of which languages those were. But we did notice that there was a backlog and then something had to be done. So this intern's work was incredibly useful because they were looking at task completion rates. And then by digging into data, I think they were able to see by how much. We knew there was anecdotally, we knew that there was a backlog, but when you see the actual numbers, I think it's a stark realization that, you have that much of a backlog that needs to get done. Yeah.
Okay, great. Michelle, do you want to?
Okay, thanks you guys.
Yeah.
You guys did great.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for the great topics, great presentations.
So let's get back to the slides. And then, okay. So I know Pei Ying is dying to say something, so yes.
I know, I was hoping that there was still up there.
Yeah.
No, I just want to say thank you to the organizers and the speakers, as well as the Mozillian staff who was behind planning all of this. I'm the front face for this event, but there's a whole team working behind me. So Con, you're up there. Thank you so much for staying late for this. And Dominique and Julie, who were planning this event, Abby and Amy, who were doing all the planning, and our security guy up front. I do want to thank all the speakers for making their time and prepare for this lightning talk, and it's very impressive. We're all coming home learning something new. And so we want to give them a small token of gifts in spirit of Mozilla, and also we're 20-year anniversary, so we want to give you something special.
Oh,
How's that?
Okay. Thank you so much. Do the speakers want to come back up? I'm sorry about that.
Maybe just
come back up, speakers, and.
That's my colleague Delphine. She had a busy day in San Francisco, but she really want to make it to the event. Thank you for yes. This is for you, and there's a little Firefox. I don't really want to be a speaker, so get something special.
I use Firefox. My default. That's for you? I know. That's cool. Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. So many cameras. I'm like, what to do? Where to look? Oh my gosh, this looks so cute. Pretty standard. Cute. Oh my goodness. Keep that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The size may not fit, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh.
I think we can.
Okay.
Okay. Pei-Ying, that is so special. Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much.
And then Jeff is here.
Thank you, Jeff.
Say a few words.
Sure.
We also have T-shirts for everyone here.
Yes.
Oh, woo!
But do we want to take a group photo?
Let's wait for the group photo until I finish my remarks, if it's okay. Is everybody okay? Okay, so can I get back to the slides again, please? Okay, so to wrap this up, and we are 3 minutes before 8, so this is awesome. I wanted to let you guys know that our next event is going to be on December 6th at Box. It's in Redwood City. And it's right off the train. So you get off the train and you're like right there. So it's a great location. And G's here from Box. Woo! And so G's hosting, and we really appreciate that, G. We're excited about it. And actually, Erica, Eric, do you want to stand up, Erica? Is she here? Oh, there she is. She's hosting a panel on localization marketing at that event. So we're excited. Thank you, Erica. And it is also our holiday networking event. So we should have a lot of fun at that event. So I'm really looking forward to that. There are food and drinks. Yes. Awesome. So that's awesome. So I look forward to that. I also wanted to say, I know there's some folks that are going back to San Francisco, and they might need a ride, or they want a pool and an Uber or something like that. Can you guys raise your hands if anybody's interested in carpooling in San Francisco? Can you kind of look at each other and see if you can coordinate? Maybe come up here, afterwards and meet at the Mozilla, okay? Because I think some folks could really help each other, and as we are community here in Silicon Valley, let's help each other, and carpool would be great. So I think that wraps it up for tonight. Remember about the T-shirts. I know Pei-Ying's going to get that organized for you guys. Thanks, everyone. We had a good time. Bye.